One day, Mark Zuckerberg stayed late at his office working on new projects for Facebook. As usual, the office had a modern and technological atmosphere. Glass walls, colorful chairs, and computers on the desks reflected the headquarters of one of the world's largest tech companies. Mark sat at his desk, staring at the screen while lost in thought. At that moment, a young intern walked into the office. The intern was surprised by Mark's simple attire and modest demeanor. Despite being one of the richest people in the world, Mark worked in a way that was far from flashy. The intern approached Mark and asked, "Mr. Zuckerberg, I'm surprised that someone like you works so simply. Why are you so humble?" Mark smiled and replied, "True value lies not in appearance, but in character. I don't judge people by what they wear or what they own, but by what they do and who they are. Success isn't measured by showiness, but by the quality of your work and the value you give to others." The intern was deeply moved by these words. Mark continued, "Everything you see in this office exists for a purpose. We work to connect people and make the world a better place. That happens not through appearance, but through character and effort." Inspired by this conversation, the intern left the office with a new perspective. Meanwhile, Mark reflected on his own journey and the lessons he'd learned over the years. The next day, he decided to conduct a social experiment to observe how much importance people place on appearances. Dressed in his usual simple t-shirt and jeans, Mark went to one of the city's largest electronics stores. When he entered the store, no one recognized him as one of the world's wealthiest individuals. Mark began examining a few products in the store. After a while, a sales assistant approached him but didn't pay much attention, quickly explaining the products. Shortly after, another customer entered the store, dressed in expensive clothes. The sales assistant immediately turned to this customer and gave them special attention. Mark noticed how appearances seemed to dictate the level of service offered. Intrigued, he decided to explore more. He moved to another section of the store and started examining a newly released smartphone. This time, another sales assistant approached him and showed a bit more interest. However, due to Mark's simple attire, they didn't give him the same level of attention as they did to other customers. This pattern continued as Mark visited various sections of the store. He observed the behavior of the sales assistants and noted that customers dressed in expensive clothes received more attention, while those who appeared ordinary were often overlooked. At the end of the experiment, before leaving the store, Mark approached one of the sales assistants and said, "True value lies not in appearance, but in character. We shouldn't judge people by what they wear or what they own. Everyone has a story and value." The sales assistant was stunned by these words. Mark's demeanor and statement left them thinking about their behavior. After leaving the store, Mark shared this experiment with his team at the office. He emphasized the importance of judging people by their character, not their appearance. This experiment became a valuable lesson not only for Mark's team but also for the intern who had witnessed Mark's humility firsthand. The story of Mark's experiment spread throughout the office and became a source of inspiration for employees to treat everyone with equal respect and dignity, regardless of their outward appearance. Weeks later, the intern decided to put what they'd learned into action. They started a campaign within the company called Value Beyond Appearance, which aimed to raise awareness about unconscious biases and promote inclusivity in the workplace and society. The campaign gained traction quickly. Employees began sharing their own stories and experiences of times they'd been judged or had judged others based on appearances. Workshops were organized, and guest speakers were invited to talk about the importance of character and empathy. Mark was impressed by the intern's initiative and personally attended one of the workshops. During his speech, he shared more about his own life and how he'd faced skepticism in the early days of Facebook because of his youth and casual style. He reminded everyone, What truly matters is the impact you have and the legacy you leave. It's not about how you look or what you own, but about the values you stand for and the positive change you bring to the world. The campaign's message resonated deeply within the company. Soon, other organizations heard about Facebook's Value Beyond Appearance initiative and started implementing similar programs in their own workplaces. The movement became a symbol of a new mindset in the tech industry, emphasizing character and contribution over superficial judgments. As the campaign grew, the intern was invited to speak at conferences and share their experience working with Mark. They often recounted the moment they'd asked him about his humility and how his response had sparked a chain reaction of change. Meanwhile, Mark continued to lead by example. He often visited schools and community centers, sharing his story and encouraging young people to focus on their dreams and character rather than societal pressures of appearance. One day, during a visit to a local school, a student asked Mark, "How do you stay grounded despite everything you've achieved?" Mark replied, "I remind myself every day that success is not just about personal achievement. It's about using what you've achieved to make a difference. When you focus on helping others and staying true to your values, it becomes easier to stay grounded." The student smiled, inspired by his words. Mark's humility and message continued to touch countless lives, proving that true value indeed lies not in appearance, but in character. When I read this story, I found Mark Zuckerberg's life philosophy and character-driven approach truly inspiring. Indeed, making a difference in the world requires much more than appearances. Perhaps each of us should strive to seek moments where we can inspire others through our character.